Yes.
One.
Yeah, good morning advertising. We're back. Feels good. 9/12, everyone. Let's have a great day. Name that movie.
Other guys, Jack.
I love that freaking
Will
movie.
Ferrell. It is Wednesday, March 18th, and we got a good slate for you all today. Jack, what are you most excited about for this live stream?
Well, let's go. Maybe we'll do it like a multiple choice question. So I'll start saying, we'll say what's going on, and then we'll kind of pick which one we're excited about. We got Todd Kaplan, CMO North America, Kraft Heinz. They just inked a 5-year deal with the NFL. I mean, how much is it? 500 mil?
I don't think they disclosed how much it was, but we'll ask him.
We'll ask him.
Katie Deighton's coming on, reporter from the Wall Street Journal. It's due for some big J journalism on this show.
So Katie is going to explain to us all the things that we don't know a lot about, but that's going to be exciting. And then Leanne Fremar, Global Chief Brand Officer of JPMorganChase. They
Friend
do
of
a
the
lot.
show.
Friend of the show, recurring guest, talking about what's going on, Sapphire Reserve specifically. And it's a massive marketing campaign. I feel like everyone's seen it at this point.
That's right.
You see the big credit card being held by Hailey Bieber, most recently working with Dwayne Wade. So some big guests, and then finally we wrap it up. It's Ellie time.
Ellie time.
Ellie time. Ellie's gonna be stepping into the Thunderdome, explaining to us things about culture that we know nothing about.
No, what's the name of that segment?
TBD, we're working on it.
Okay.
We might open source that. But Ellie's gonna be on. Rarely do you get inside the mind of a 22-year-old Gen Z,
Chronically on
cultural beast.
She's good, though. She has the
good.
second highest performing posted breaking entering history. So she'll be joining us later today. But we first will get into the world famous, everyone's favorite, 2-minute drill.
The 2-minute drill.
Applause for the 2-minute drill. If you don't know, two of us here talking about one topic, 2 minutes at a time. We're breaking down what you need to know.
Bring it in. Here we go. All right, let's get started. Right now, it's a 2-minute drill. I'm in my box. I'm looking at this camera.
That's right.
And let's get it going. Publicis and Trade Desk have some beef, Gino. They are breaking up. I'll try to set the stage here.
Let's do this.
Publicis has a third-party auditor go and audit the trade desk. This kind of thing is pretty typical if you got a big agreement with someone or partnership. Standard protocol. The audit comes back, says Publicis, that Trade Desk failed the audit.
Okay.
They're making some claims about hidden fees, kind of lack of transparency, other breaches of their contract. The Trade Desk comes back and says, we did not fail the audit. We just weren't able to give you certain evidence or information to come to conclusions because it would have violated other confidentiality agreements that the Trade Desk has with other parties. So they said, we didn't fail. It's like, you didn't fire me, I quit. But it's not like that. I feel like that was a bad example. But thoughts,
It's like you gave me a test in something that
I can't give the answers for.
Right.
Because if I gave you the answers for this, then my other teacher, I can't do that because she told me I can't put the answers for this. Something like that, but it's all legal things.
Yeah, so basically now Publicis is telling its clients, beware the Trade Desk. And this is fascinating because really in the background here, WPP and Dentsu already stepped away from parts of using the Trade Desk. So those holding companies have already stepped away from it, Jack. I think that's good context for the people.
It is. And the Trade Desk has been suffering. The stock's been down. They're going through some issues. They're trying to figure out their place in the long convoluted chain that is programmatic advertising. There's so much that goes from brand wants to put an ad on somewhere to the actual ad showing up. I feel like, and to give us more information on that, I'm excited. I think we might be getting Kendra Barnett, Adweek tech reporter, who talked about this story in detail to explain this to us. So fear not, because we don't know as much as she does, and she'll be able to come in and give a better look at it probably tomorrow. But that's that story.
And we got to get the founder of the Trade Desk on maybe.
I know, Jeff Green. Come on the show.
Join the show. Next up here, next story here. Is that right? I got
Brand micro dramas.
Yeah, Jack. So you talked about this. We talked about this on the show in the past year, but it just hit the Wall Street Journal, reported by Patrick Coffey, that brands, instead of spending millions and millions of dollars on traditional ad campaigns, they're opting for social media, creating these micro dramas. Jack, what the heck is a micro drama? I'm not talking about your day-to-day issues in your relationships in life. Selfie alert.
Yeah, it's a micro drama. This was brought to us by Beth Keamy, who is the Chief Digital Officer at TBWA
Media Arts Lab.
On our show for South by Southwest, she said this is the trend that she has an eye out. That was 2 days ago, and then yesterday, or today maybe, this morning, this morning, Patrick Coffey releases this Wall Street Journal article.
Did she know?
Microdramas, and what's most fascinating to me is that most people are getting their microdrama consumption on an app called Real Short. Gino, it has 23 million downloads in the last year. That's where people are getting
Real Short.
Real Shorts, R-E-E-L Short.
Okay.
So here's my take on this.
Yeah.
Do you want my take?
I want your take, Jack.
Okay. To me, proven concept in the Eastern markets like Asia. This has been happening since COVID. So you see that it's low production cost, feels like an automatic thing for a massive brand to like take a swing on.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that with P&G. Crocs, not necessarily like a massive conglomerate like P&G, but a big brand that has money, feels like an obvious thing to take a bet on, knowing that it's a proven concept.
Yeah, but my question is, how are they making money from this? Is it just the product association? Is there a freemium model in this?
There's subscription-based things, but I think for the most part, I think it's mainly just like a branded entertainment thing. Okay. Like that's how I would interpret it.
When I'm on the TikToks and the Instagram reel, like I see like chapter 30 of this thing, and I have to go all the way back to the start.
Yeah,
like in my algorithm.
It is. I've seen this before too. All right, next up, Gino. This is LeBron James in a commercial for a Nike and Beats collab. Beats headphones, working with Nike. Miramar is the creative agency on this. What do you got here, Jim?
Yeah, first off, music is fantastic. Easy like Sunday morning. And I think this is a partnership, first of its kind, between Beats and Nike here. The logo is also messed around with. Very fun ad here. Really surprising to me, because listen, if you have the name Nike on an ad, the expectations are going to be high.
Yep.
So the fact that Miramar is coming in, this is not a Wyden and Kennedy spot. They have to live up to that standard, and this ad to me is right there up with some of the greats of Nike.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's pretty.
Like it?
I think it's close to that standard. Absolutely.
Yeah. LeBron takes an opportunity to be very humanized. I think it's honestly. To me, LeBron is a big. LeBron's great, but I think the thing that people nag him on over the years is like he's kind of, he takes himself a little too seriously, and like he, the flopgate, him flopping around the court.
But this also ties back to the product truth here. It's like for athletes, it's got the noise cancellation, and it gets you in the zone here. It does just that, and plus when you go golf, the people are always critiquing your swing.
But this is my thing. This is what I'm getting my point. I'm surprised that LeBron would do this because it puts him in a position where he's doing something he's bad at. And he's on camera doing something he's bad at. Michael Jordan would never.
No, you don't think so?
No, Michael Jordan would never do an ad where it's like
makes him look bad. Because he was so competitive in all aspects of his life.
Yeah,
wasn't just basketball.
Wasn't just basketball. Nope. But people love Bron, man. People love Bron.
But congrats to Miramar. It's a good spot there.
People online like this a lot. I was seeing a lot of positive reaction immediately as soon as it came out. This and the Disney ad that just came out for Disney Cruise Lines are two ads that have gotten really, really good positive reaction in my algorithm.
Okay, next up here, are we good to go on this next one? Core Down releases a new ad here. We need some context here. Core Down is a global nonprofit that advocates for people with Down syndrome. And really, in popular culture, we've been seeing the rise and return of the use of the R word, Jack, from folks like Joe Rogan, Elon, Kanye, that have been using it in pop culture, maybe using it to be provocative, the R word, but also that kind of normalizes it. It's kind of come back into culture. So Core Down is this association, this nonprofit that advocates for people with Down syndrome. They launch a great spot here that I think everybody should check out. Little Black Book covered it, and it's called Just Evolve, really kind of like poking fun at ways that we used to operate as humans. and how we've evolved, and it would be foolish to do those things. One example of this is people, I guess, used to clean their clothes with urine back in the day. So you wouldn't clean your clothes with urine back in the day. You wouldn't do that today. You should evolve.
Well, I think the extra layer beyond that is the way that in this spot, people are normalized to it. So people, you see like someone washing their clothes with urine, and everyone around it is acting like that's normal and that's like what you do. So that's kind of like, for me, the key here. It's one thing to say that, like, yes, of course it was crazy that people were washing their clothes with urine, but also pointing out the fact that in culture at that time, it was normalized. Similar to the connection that they're drawing here. You're saying, you know, you might think it's harmless to say the R word and throw it around willy-nilly, but the worst thing that can happen is that people normalize it. Yep. So it's a great spot. I also want to note, Cordon has won over 30 Cannes Lions.
You're kidding me.
I swear, this organization, great creative, and this agency on this small is a New York creative agency. So
small.
Unreal.
Nicely done to the agency and the organization here. That was launched on, was it Down Syndrome Awareness Day? I believe it kind of tied into all that culturally timely. Nicely done to all those folks. Did I mess anything up there, Russ?
Yeah, that mic's not on, but
it's coming up, but it's
coming up. So yeah, go check out that ad though. Great creative. Well done to everyone there. Last one, Gino. Uncommon and British Airways. This is an award-winning partnership I think we've been seeing for the last few years. I would say the ad community probably is more familiar with British Airways out of home work that's been award-winning with Uncommon, but this is a good ad in my opinion.
Yeah, can we play it? What do they got going on in this one?
Maybe. Oh, here we go.
Okay. Please listen closely to this briefing for the most journey of all. In life, you may experience an increase in pressure.
You can't park here, mate. Well, I can't drive. Look, the wheels come off.
Doctor, did you want to take a look?
No. If this is you, calmly locate your nearest exits here.
Can you guys leave me some money?
Here. And here. We will shortly be departing Wits End, doom scrolling, and I hate my boss.
Can't believe Nigel didn't get back to me.
Please stow away all emotional baggage.
Enjoy your drink.
And mute group chats for the duration of your trip.
Beam! You've got to see this beam!
Take a moment to listen to what you actually need.
Hi.
Hi.
Você quer casar, se apaixonar, ter filhos e envelhecer juntos?
Yes.
Super.
Oxygen will be provided, so will sunsets, epiphanies, and things you'll regret. So switch off your devices and fasten your seatbelts. This is your journey.
Let's talk about, if they can hear me, let's talk about the category itself, Jack. Have you seen any other airline commercials like this?
United. I feel like I've seen this with, I've seen similar, it's a play on a classic airline thing, which is to say we can get you to your destination, your travel, like go live your life. I think I've seen something similar with United, maybe not the same kind of execution, but you see it out there all the time.
No, I mean, I'm a fan of this. I think the execution itself stands for something, but also trying to get away from the madness and get away from the BS. So that's what travel is all about.
And they do it in a really uncommon way.
Yeah.
It's classic. There's like 40 different scenes. There's like a million different things going on, but all kind of communicating that simple message. Uncommon and British Airways always get some talk.
Those campaigns ad of the day as well, Jack. Nicely done to them. Shall we intro our guest?
Yeah, all right, first, biggest story of the day, Gino. What do we got here? So joining us now, big news out of the marketing world, Todd Kaplan, Chief Marketing Officer of Kraft Heinz North America, former Pepsi CMO, over $2 billion in brands and products created, and one of the most recognized and awarded marketers in the game right now.
And today, Kraft Heinz is announcing a 5-year global partnership with the NFL, becoming the league's first ever global condiment partner. And that means over 20 brands activating across the biggest moments in sports, from the Super Bowl to kickoff to Thanksgiving. It comes as Kraft Heinz invests in $600 million back into the business, doubling down on culture, driving the share of stomach, and turning fandom into real purchase behavior. Todd Kaplan, welcome to the Breaking and Entering show. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing all right. Happy to be here. You guys covered it all. I think we're done. Let's go.
Absolutely
Todd,
not.
You are no chance. Welcome to the Thunderdome, Todd. Let's get into it. I mean, I guess I want to hear from in your words. News drops this morning. I'm sure it makes sense. You know, you think about it. Kraft Heinz, condiments, official partner. How'd this all come to be?
Yeah, it's a natural fit for a lot of our brands, and a lot of our iconic brands are already a staple while people are watching football, right? Whether it's in stadium or at home. And so we just made it official, And so as you mentioned, we're bringing more than 20 of our iconic brands closer to these NFL fans all over the globe, ranging in categories from condiments, cheeses, sauces, meals, etc. But it's brands you know and love. It's brands like Heinz, Kraft, Velveeta, Philadelphia, Kraft Mac and Cheese, Classico, A1. There's so many, and bringing them into the heart of football's most culturally relevant moments is just a great way for us to forge deeper connections with our consumers in a real unique way. Leveraging all the big NFL tentpole events, moments, the IP, all the things that they do so well. And we're really excited even to kick things off next month at the NFL Draft, which actually is in Pittsburgh, the birthplace of Heinz. So we're going to kick off our very first NFL activation across the city for the brand throughout our footprint and on air. So we're just really excited to get this going. It's a 5-year deal. And, we have a lot of friends over at the NFL who we can really make this into a big, epic partnership and really drive our businesses forward together.
I have before we jump into it more, I have maybe a quick dumb question. How does something like this come to be? Like, it's something that's such a massive contract. You all just get into a room together and just hash it out, figure it out. I'm just so fascinated about how something like this actually happens.
These things take a lot of time, and it's funny, you guys are seeing the formal announcement, but there's a lot of people, a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussions that happen to get something to the stage that everybody's really excited about where we're going forward. So a huge shout out to Ryan Jabara on my team, who's our head of sports and entertainment partnerships, who we brought in recently, and also all our friends over at the NFL, Tracy Rodberg and the team over there on the partnership side. They've just been great partners, and as you mentioned, I've known folks over there for quite some time, given my background with PepsiCo and things we've done in the past with them. But it's to forge new ground in new categories that they haven't sold before, and bringing our brands to life in new ways internally over here, working across all of our different business units, our food service team, our taste elevation team, all the different other people, our legal team. There's so many people who weigh in on this. It's been a long journey in the making, but we're really excited for today.
Yeah, so I'm curious, Todd. Jack and I live together. We work together. When we're at home on the living room couch watching NFL on Sundays, I guess what can we expect as fans watching the NFL? What can we expect from Kraft Heinz sitting in our couch in the living room?
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, it's all about, we've been on a journey at Kraft Heinz here to better kind of modernize our brands, our iconic, legacy brands, by connecting them to culture at the intersection of food, sports, and entertainment. And so the NFL is a great, next step in that space. And as you mentioned, there's 200 million highly passionate fans. It's all the highest rated TV programming that's happening right now. And so finding ways to bring these brands to life uniquely is what we're really trying to do in this kind of culture forward manner. And so you can expect us to do everything, the full marketing mix as we look over the term of this deal to figure out what we're going to do. Everything from limited edition packaging, new product offerings, immersive retail activations, in-stadium experiences, customer hospitality, and then on air, to your point, how we integrate with our media partners, how we show up with new creative for our brands like Heinz, which will be one of our lead brands, really activating this quite deeply, and then driving a lot of deep consumer engagement through programming. And, it's just showing up in those moments that matter the most, for our fans is what we're really trying to do in a very authentic way.
So you have the whole mix now. And I know you guys have activated beforehand, before the official partnership, kind of as a satellite, like the Heinz Keg Chup, which you guys did before the big game. Love that. But now, what are you most excited about with this access? What type of placement, what type of partnership or activation are you really looking forward to?
Yeah, well, I think, as I mentioned, I think the Heinz brand is going to be doing so much stuff, and there's such deep-rooted connections the brand already has from back in the day when it had Heinz Field, and we still have partnerships with the Steelers and with, the Kansas City Chiefs and a number of teams, but I think across a lot of our other brands as well, we'll start to activate, as we look at Kraft Mac and Cheese and some of these other brands that can connect in unique and different ways. And so we have a couple. Like I said, a couple tricks up our sleeve ready for the draft in April that we'll be sharing soon enough. Like I said, the draft this year is in Pittsburgh, the birthplace of Heinz. So there's such rich storytelling that already creatively provides a great canvas for. But really excited to figure out where we can take this thing.
Well, Todd, I mean, obviously right now with Kraft Heinz, your budget just got much bigger, I believe, based on the news. Kraft Heinz pausing the split. You have CEO Steve Cahillane coming out and saying we're gonna invest back in growth. We're gonna get back to profitability. We're gonna turn this thing up a notch. So for you as the CMO of North America, what does that signal to the team? What do you take from that and kind of the future of Kraft Heinz and where you're going as an organization?
Yeah, I think everything over here has been hugely positive recently in terms of a lot of the changes that have gone down recently. You know, our resources, including our time and people and money, are really singularly focused on executing our current operating plan, returning our brands to growth. Steve joining has been a great breath of fresh air as we now have a shared vision when it comes to brand marketing and moving at the speed of culture. I know he's passionate about our portfolio of iconic brands, sees the importance they play in our consumers' lives. And listen, brand building takes time, it takes investment, it takes a commitment to building these brands. You know, we have these wonderful portfolio brands here in North America. I think I shared with you guys, we have 70 brands in North America. We have 96% household penetration. So it's really less about awareness and more about deepening our brand relevance and modernizing these brands to make sure they stay connected in relevant ways in our consumers' lives as we continue to evolve our portfolio and our product offerings along the way. And really, really excited to have the NFL as a key partner to help drive that.
Absolutely. So besides Heinz, which you already mentioned here, between all the brands that are going to be activating around the NFL, which one do you think will steal the show for NFL fans back at home?
Todd, here we go.
Oof. I mean, we love all our children, right?
Of course,
you know how these questions are so unfair. But I'd say they each, what I'm excited to see is they each can kind of bring their own different lens to it, right? Heinz obviously is going to be that iconic on game day, you know, how it shows up. I think you're going to see some activity from even some of our smaller brands in the portfolio. You take a brand like Primal Kitchen. I don't know if you know, but it's a really wonderful product that we have. You look at a brand like Velveeta that's all about the drip, and you think about this idea of the drip in culture and fashion and where that can go. And there's just so many different ways in that I think we can get into this, that there's a lot of great storytelling that lies ahead for us.
You know, did you
Drip in culture. I like that.
I feel like sometimes I see Gino make a face and I think he's about to pitch you something.
No, I do have a pitch, though.
Gino, what you got, bud? Let's go.
So Thanksgiving game, obviously the winning team there is going to have the Thanksgiving turkey leg. Right. You see some Kraft mac and cheese on the table. You dip in a little bit of ketchup. I think that it writes itself. You guys already have that plan probably. I won't pitch you on that.
No.
No, it's a great idea. The question is, can we get a turducken flavored, thing for that? You know, that's the big thing on Thanksgiving, right? That they do on the Thanksgiving game with the turducken. But I think, there's a lot of opportunities there, whether it's on Thanksgiving, whether it's kickoff, draft. You know, they have these big tentpole moments, obviously, and then just the everyday, you know, how we can help fans stock up for the weekends. For their, viewing parties at home and, as well as in the stadium experience as well. There's just so much we can do. Yeah,
I feel like does that create an added layer of challenge? You know, you go into this, obviously it's very exciting, but now, I mean, it's almost like there's so much you can do. How do you decide on what actually happens? Is this something that is of consideration, Todd? I'm sure you've already thought of this.
What was the question? Consider what you're going to do? How do you do that?
What
was the exact question?
It's like, there's so much you can do. How do you decide what gets done?
No, it's all about prioritization. And to your point, it's, and it's like a kid in a candy store is kind of what you're trying to say. The concept of like, there's so many things we can do as you put each brand's hat on and where you can take it. And obviously it's relative to all the other things we have going on in our business. So I think we're going to pace ourselves and make sure we activate in the right way with the right intentionality. Like I said, I would definitely be looking at our Heinz brand team is going to be leading the charge, like I said, coming up in the draft in Pittsburgh and as we gear up for this fall. But I think I would expect over the term of this deal, a lot of our brands to activate and how we're going to drive, whether it's through packaging, whether it's at retail, whether it's at food service and some potential team activations and things of the sort. There's so many ways we can take it.
Love it. Todd, what's your NFL team that you cheer for?
It's interesting. I support the Giants, but essentially I grew up in Southern California, and when I was growing up, both teams left. It was the Rams and the Raiders at the time, just to date myself, even though I know they have the teams now. And so I'm a huge Lakers fan on the basketball side. So even I know you're just talking about LeBron and all that, the chat about that. But the Giants I've adopted since living out east. So the Giants, I'd say.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of Giants. It's gonna just be like 30 consecutive Giants ads.
No.
Love it, Todd. Well, hey, exciting stuff for you guys. Big news. Really happy to see the brand sticking together, the investment back into it, and we got 5 more years of stuff to talk about, Jack.
Yes, so Todd, we'll have you back every Sunday from here until the end of the partnership.
Hey.
I think that'll be good.
I'm game for whatever you guys need. Listen, and we've been on a really fun journey over the last year and a half plus here at Kraft Heinz and trying to reinvigorate these brands. And this is just another fun step along the way of some of the ways that we're going to do it. And whatever you guys want to chat about what we're doing, how we're doing it, happy to always break bread with you guys and kick it around for a little bit. So appreciate it.
Love it. Thanks, Todd. Thank you for joining and thanks for enlightening us on the new partnership with the NFL. Exciting to see. We'll keep things rolling here at the Breaking and Entering show. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, guys.
Nicely done. Makes sense. I mean, live sports is the way to go. Everybody tunes into the NFL.
NFL live sports, and I guess Kraft Heinz. We talked about it. It was potentially going to split. It's in a point. I listened to an interview with CEO Steve Cahillane. You're saying the stock is not performing well. It's not a good stock right now. But nothing changes if nothing changes. So it's one thing to just say we're going to invest money back into the business. Another thing, they immediately turn around and they do a big time deal with
Give all the money to Todd Kaplan to figure out what to do. He's getting the ball in the right.
Why is that? Do you have a little bit more Todd Kaplan lore?
Pepsi. He did I believe he led the rebrand for Pepsi products back then. PepsiCo guy. That's my recent lore on him, but people freaking love him.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, a great leader, and so
let's kick it off to our next guest here, Jack. Teleprompter's rolling. It's a little bit slower this time.
All right, joining us now. If you work in advertising, you've definitely read her work. Katie Deighton from the Wall Street Journal's CMO Today. She's talking to top CMOs, tracking agency shakeups, and breaking down what's actually happening across the industry, Gino.
And today, Jack, let's consider this the State of the Advertising Union address delivered by Katie. What's actually changing with agencies now? Is brand marketing making a comeback, or is performance still running the show? And when does it make sense for brands to build in-house versus call an agency? These are questions we might ask, we might not. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, guys. What a pleasure to be on the live show in particular. I love it.
Oh, well, it's great to have you. What'd you think of that intro teleprompter read?
I'm scared I'm not going to give a great State of the Union address if the pressure is on, but it was a fantastic read.
Thanks
Good
so
job,
much.
guys.
Thanks so much.
Your studio looks fantastic too.
I don't know if my brother sent me a picture and said you need to put something on the table because it looks like you're doing an interrogation. Oh. So
that's a good call.
So that's a good call. But Katie,
So Katie, my first question to you, you're a reporter at Wall Street Journal, CMO Today section here. Do you have a beat that you specialize in, or is it all marketing?
It really is all of marketing. We have a team of 3 reporters on CMO Today, and everyone always asks us, how do we divide up the industry? How do we divide up our coverage? And we don't really have a good answer. We just kind of know roughly what kind of thing is exciting to each of us. So, lately I've been writing a lot about kind of alternative media sources, marketing companies, influencer stuff, and basically anywhere, I guess, outside of the big advertising infrastructure that clients are putting their money, and having a go at trying to influence in some other direction. But we also cover the good old programmatic and the big agency moves, and then a lot of CMO interviews as well.
Katie, the creator world, creator economy, influencer marketing, budgets are going up, but I still always for as much buzz as it gets, I still feel like the budget is still relatively low. Can you explain how that's changing? Do you think that something like influencer, creator can continue to rise in budget, or is it going to keep rising? Are we seeing reasons for it to continue to rise?
For sure. I mean, I think it will definitely rise. I think, I mean, companies like Unilever, American Eagle, they've all said they're going to, explicitly in earnings have said, we're going to start taking some of the money from our marketing budget and put it into more influencers. Is my audio okay, by the way? I am sat out in the
Oh, it's great. Yeah, no, you're great.
So it's definitely going to be happening. I think the question is going to be, though, where does it have its own separate pot, or does it just come out of media eventually? Because if you think about it, the lines are blurring. If you have an influencer that also has a Substack and you're buying an ad on that influencer's Substack, is that separate now? And I think the lines are crossing over so much. You have some of these huge influencers that are landing deals that are like eight figures big. I mean, that's not going to be coming out of like a specific influencer budget. That's going to be probably coming out of your main pot, because you're going to be integrating that. If you're spending that much money on talent, you're going to be integrating that into all of your marketing. You're going to be putting that on your ads. We've seen influencers appear in ads. So I think it's just like it's just a change in who gets to control what, and what is media and what is marketing now.
Do you think that means that you'll have to have a different like C-suite title if the budget gets to a point, because these creators and influencers kind of are media companies at this point with the way that you can integrate with them? So at some point, do you think there's going to be like someone who's running a media budget, but then someone who's also running like head of influencers or like chief influencer marketing officer? I don't even know what you go from there to like solve that problem of, since the budget's so high, how do we figure out where the budget lines end up?
I think it's a good question. I think in a way I can imagine it handled in the way partnerships are handled now. So you have someone that's in charge of, if you're a huge brand, if you're a Todd Kaplan, like someone's going to be managing the NFL account. I think it will be a bit like that, These are going to be like media entities that you're having to partner with and strategize with as partners, as opposed to sending them a load of product and hoping that they post about it. But I think it's really pertinent that CMOs at the moment are aware of these people. I mean, there are a million universes out there. We speak about this in the office all the time. Like, I'd never watched a Mr. Beast video until a couple of weeks ago. And this guy is like one of the most famous people on the planet. There's not a week goes by where I don't hear of an influencer that I've never heard of that has billions of views. And I think it's really important that CMOs are up on this and they're not just paying attention to pop culture as we know it, but these different kinds of corners of the internet, to make sure they're fluent in speaking to this internet audience.
Yeah. May I switch just slightly here? I'm very curious.
Switch.
We're doing a switch.
We're doing shift.
So Katie, you've reported on the financial side of like these big holding company agencies. I guess my question is, with all the shifts going on, the mergers, acquisitions in the industry, where do you see the most pressure building up at this moment in the advertising agency landscape?
I think it's definitely, I think the creative agencies within the holding company space, we are yet to see how this merger of Omnicom and IPG is going to shake out in terms of what do these agencies stand for when you had two smushed together, and whether they will be good enough at distinguishing themselves in the marketplace. I think the space that like the brightest spark that I see at the moment is in these smaller independents that are winning some really big brands and doing some really great work. And I think the issue that the holding companies are going to have is that, say you're a client and your agency gets merged into another one. Well, like, why not call the pitch at that point? Like, why not see what else is out there? And we've seen a few these kind of agencies that a year ago I hadn't heard of, winning some very big brands. And they're doing it not by selling this big, huge at scale campaign or, promising a big data component or bundling up media. They're genuinely just like a lot of the time coming in with a really good idea that's very well researched and is very audience based. And I think that because they don't have all of this distraction and the overheads that the larger companies have, they're kind of coming in and selling that and saying, right, we're just going to do you guys good work. And, we're going to give you like one great idea. They can work on a project basis. They don't have to be on retainer.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of clients are looking for right now. So I think that's what's causing the most disruption.
So a lot of pressure then on the creative agencies that are sitting in holding companies. Is that the fair summary of that?
Absolutely. And then, of course, you have the promise of all this AI that their parent companies are saying that they're going to be using. I don't think smaller agencies that don't have that sort of level of bureaucracy have to be dealing with right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, that to me, when you're saying that, it sounds like it maybe is more the top of funnel, like just a great creative idea that's well researched,
Yeah.
great insight. And then, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong or give me more insight here, is like, a smaller boutique creative agency maybe isn't the best suited or isn't winning the big pitches for like performance marketing or like something that's more programmatic. Is that a fair assessment, Katie?
I think from what I've seen, I mean, I'm sure it's what the clients want, right? And I think we wanted to talk about in-housing later.
Yeah.
I think given I am imagining AI will change media buying the most, and then make it a lot cheaper to do. And I think that's going to be ripe for in-housing. And so if you can do all of that, or if you can automate so much of the process that agencies have been charging for, then like, what are you left with buying? You're left with buying the idea. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
Yeah, that
Probably
makes
not.
sense. It does.
Yeah.
Buying the idea, if you and so let's build on that, because it's hard to assess if there really is a trend of like more in-house agencies at brands or not, because I feel like every other week you're hearing like, oh, this big brand is sunsetting their in-house to go external. They're bringing more creative
Yeah.
partners. Some are building it in-house. Local Produce is Instacart's in-house agency that just won Ad Age in-house agency of the year. So they've had success. Katie, what is the state of in-house versus using creative external partners, and what's in the CMO's brain when they're making that decision?
I mean, look, I've been doing this job long enough. I know there's like every few years, it's in-house is in,
Right.
in-house is out. It's so circular. It's circular. Sorry. It's both on the economy and it's also in the life cycle of where any company is at, right? Because you think about it, you're a startup, you're launching, you probably just have someone who's doing all your marketing for you. They build out their team. Suddenly the company gets, I don't know, like some Series C funding, and they go, wow, like let's do a big top of funnel campaign. Right. We can't do that all on our own. We'll hire an agency. And then maybe that company goes public and someone looks at their P&L and goes, wait, we're spending how much money on advertising? Let's kill that. Let's do it in-house. And then it goes forward and forward like that until the in-house agency messes up somehow, or they're not getting the results they need, and then they bring in another agency. So I think what we're seeing, and I think it was not me that wrote this. Who was it? I will try and cite this before. Marketing Dive wrote a good story last year about co-sourcing, which is the new sort of in-housing trend, which is like, it's not quite an in-house agency. It's not quite a completely separate agency, but it's just like a little bit more of a fluid sharing of ideas and bringing people in from agencies, which is like, that's happened since the beginning of time. Like brands will hire like a few people to come and sit with them in the office and work kind of as an agency, but they're not on the books. So I think I'm not seeing like a huge trend towards it or not right now, but I think it's just important to be thinking of the economy and also thinking now with clients. Now we're a few years into this AI cycle, clients probably going to their agencies like, well, you said this is going to make this cheaper, but like my bills haven't gone down. So, what are you going to do for me? And I think, especially for a lot of the lower funnel creative that needs to be made, for instance, like I don't think clients are going to be outsourcing that. I don't think they're going to need to hire an agency to make banner ads anymore. I think
Right.
they'll definitely be able to do that in-house. So I think we'll see kind of like the more boring stuff coming in. And again, just clients asking creative agencies in particular for this like one big idea.
Interesting.
So we kind of talking about the trend of the in-house agencies. I'm curious, like what trend in marketing right now do you think is overhyped, overblown that you want to call out?
Oh, that's a great one. I think, okay, I don't think it's overhyped because I think there is so much to it, but I think it's this idea of brands wanting to be entertainment platforms. And my colleague Patrick just published a great story on micro dramas and how brands are investing in those. And my colleague Meg did a really great story about how DoorDash is like really working with some great influencers and hardly branding anything to just to make some really entertaining marketing. And then the other end of this, that other side of things, Hollywood wants to get more marketing dollars, right? Because they're obviously having their own existential crisis over there. So we're having this coming together, but I think it's just really, I'm not sure that anyone's quite cracked how to create a wonderful film that's very, very entertaining, that's also going to ship product. And as much as it is great to do a very, very top of funnel, very subtly branded, brand backed projects like this, as the economy, wherever the economy goes, let's assume it's going to be dipping down soon. I think the CFOs are just going to be like, why did you just spend millions of dollars on making a YouTube movie with no distribution? And our sales have not like gone up because of that.
So where do you think? I'm curious.
So I guess like my answer would be, I think that it is going completely gung ho on entertaining marketing without any kind of plan as to how you will have an ROI on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good take.
Well,
I was going to ask, how far do you how far are we in this life cycle of the entertainment, branded entertainment?
I was going to
world?
bring up,
Jim.
the brand I think is closest because it feels like they're the closest is Gap to me right now, because they're already making music videos. They're making music videos that are like some of the best videos on earth right now. So, and they just hired a chief entertainment officer.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, is the rest of the industry waiting with bated breath to see if Gap can pull it off after kind of going all the way into entertainment? Obviously it's a long road, but.
Yeah.
That's a great example. And I think the thing that, I got quite frustrated with, especially last year, is that everyone said, oh, we want to we want to be Barbie. Like, we want to do Barbie.
Right.
Barbie, it was great as an IP, and it did very well, like as a brand in itself, the movie. I don't think it actually shifted that many Barbies, because Mattel, that they're not exactly top of the markets right now. So, you've got to question, like, well, then what are you trying to do here? Do you just, and if you just want to get people talking about your brand, then great, fantastic. But I think, I guess, like the cynic in me questions, well, what does that really mean if you're not increasing your revenues?
Yeah, because like what was I can't really recall I guess I'm not the target, of course, so maybe this is just me being naive, but with the Barbie movie, it didn't feel like it had as long of a tail on the marketing to try and like push people down the funnel.
Yeah, and I think a lot of brands saw that and went, well, our brand is as interesting and as ripe for the Greta Gerwig treatment as Barbie is, and that's just absolutely not true. I'm very curious to see how the Hershey movie will do. Will people care as much about a movie about a founder of a chocolate company as they are about an icon of their childhood? We'll see, but that's what I think.
Is that the Willy Wonka? They got a Hershey movie coming out?
They have got a Hershey movie coming. Yeah, IRL Willy Wonka, it seems.
That's pretty good.
I didn't know
that. That's pretty good. The Hershey movie. I did not know that was. Is this this is news to me? Honestly, Katie, did you just break that news here live on the Breaking Energy?
I wish I broke the news. No, I think it's been in development for a little while.
Okay.
But I think it's coming. I think it's coming at the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Okay, yeah. It says, I'm looking at our screen. It says 2026 release.
It's this year.
Or which is this year. Holy shit. Yeah.
That's a good take by Katie.
It is a good take.
Yeah.
Well, because I love the Lego movie. The Lego movie was so good, in my opinion. It was like, and you almost forget though. It's a weird thing because like, you remember it, but I don't really think about the Lego movie and I think about the brand. I think about the storyline and like how good that story was. So it's a very interesting thing. You're not in when you're going to the movies and sitting down to watch a movie, you're not in the mindset of buying something the same way you are when you're like scrolling and you see a bunch of different products, or when you're looking at Amazon and the ads pop up. So it's a very weird, different thing.
No, and of course, the psychology of it all is you associate that brand with good feelings and feeling happy, and so therefore you're more likely to go and buy it and recommend it to your friends. But I think toy brands, I think any brand that people like have a good feeling with from their childhood are like, they're playing in a completely different category. I think they get a much further head start than any other brand does.
I have a final question for you, Katie. You speak with a lot of CMOs. You hear a lot. You all cover the beat so well. Is there like a campaign or maybe a brand that's doing marketing right now that you're hearing consistently from other CMOs that they're like, oh, they're crushing it. We're kind of jealous of what they're doing right now. Is there kind of maybe a leader or a brand that sticks out when it comes to marketing right now?
I mean, you already mentioned it, but Gap is truly, everybody is loving their campaigns, and the company's doing very well as well. So that's a great sign that it's working the way it needs to. On Gap, I will say, the agency that they work with is Invisible Dynamics, and they are an example of an agency that a few years ago I hadn't heard of. They're relatively new, and then they're not playing in the same arena, I would say, that some of our other creative agencies that are more well known are. They're more strategists there, and they're more consultants, and they hire very smart people, and they say, we're going to look at your whole business, and then we're not going to look at your marketing. We're going to look at your business first, and we're going to determine for you like where you're going wrong, and if you want, we're going to throw in some production and creative too, and they can do the production. Exactly. So the way that they're coming at it is very different. And then their founder Ollie, like, as far as I know, they're not like deep in the weeds in pitches. They're having clients coming to them. So I think that's really a great example of a campaign, especially that Cat's Eye film. I mean, like everyone like went nuts over, and it came from this. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I also think, I mean, I nearly wrote a story, but I don't think it was really a story on this. But last year it was, I was like, there's so much dancing in ads now. and I was gonna try and like figure out why that was. And I think a lot of it is it's very, you can't be politically partisan with dancing people because no one's really talking. I think it's quite inoffensive and joyful, and it's just, it's nice to see that art form on screen. I think people have missed it a bit.
Yeah, dancing. I like that. You can't. Yeah, it's a great tool if you want to make sure people are happy. No one's ever gotten mad watching someone else dance really effectively, unless someone saw me at prom 2014 at Montini Catholic.
I saw that. I saw some videos from that.
Release the tapes, Jack.
Never. No one. Those are deep in my camera roll. Those are like
the Snapchat memories.
Yeah, Snapchat memories. Well, I love talking about this stuff, Katie. Absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for enlightening us and giving us a look at really what's moving things in marketing. Thank you so much, Katie.
My pleasure. Can I ask you really quickly?
Yes.
What's your hot take? What do you think's overblown right now?
What's overblown? I think we're reaching a point where the consumer is kind of maybe moving on from the more like brand episodic TikTok content that like at least in my feed, like I've kind of developed I've seen every type of dating show. I've seen every kind of like street interview type thing. And I don't know, I think that in my opinion, what happened was brands saw other brands that did it really well and did it good, and now they're trying to jump on the format versus jumping on the actual strategy and insight as to like why they did do a series of a TikTok series. So that would be mine. Gina, what do you got?
I agree with the brand and entertainment is one to monitor on the effectiveness level, if it's a trend or if it's here to stay or if it's just a little fad. I agree with Katie, what she said earlier. I'm also good with some of those like collabs and like one-off gimmicky, stunty like, new product drops that like 50 people got.
Like Jello and Gucci combined to
Gibbets. Jello and Gibbets. But I think if like Case of the Mondays is a good example because it actually changed the supply chain with the case, like with hundreds of thousands.
They actually sold a bunch of them.
Yeah.
It's like you could have actually gotten that.
Yes, I think they're kind of moving away from like the 50 product drop. It's built for can, it's built for
social.
Press.
It's cool. Yeah, it's built for like to be able to post about it. And
I see it now. It's like it does get impressions when we post about it, so I can see why it gets covered so much.
Like our Instagram, we're like keep doing it so that we can post about it, but I don't know.
What was the one? The Buffalo Martini?
Yeah,
the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Did you see this, Katie? The Buffalo Wild Wings? Yeah.
I know, to which I honestly, I mean, I'm in the target audience for that. Like, give me some salty, savory drink at any time. I'd be very happy with that. But,
Katie, 2 of those.
Katie, we can absolutely make that happen. That'd be a great video. We'll talk about that.
Martinis next time.
Sounds like a plan. Katie, thank you so much for joining. And
thanks, guys.
Continue the great work. Tell everyone at the Wall Street Journal we said hello. Tell Megan Graham we said hello as well.
Will do. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
See ya. Katie, much more knowledgeable than us.
Oh my God. He's good.
Just the amount, the memory, the knowledge of the industry.
That was a good take by her.
Which one?
The overhyped. What's overhyped in marketing right now? It's an interesting take.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but they're great. They're great. Katie, she's on the beat.
She leans on the more effectiveness side of things, it seems like. She wants to get back to, like, is it going to move product? At least from that conversation.
I know.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think it's on, like, to me, the best thing that's happening is that Gap is doing well. Is that they're seeing business results.
Yeah, it's not like a whole movie. It's not like a big, like, I'm sure it was a lot of work, but like lower production dollars, like there's not that much into it. It's not like doing a couple $1 million movie like the Barbie movie, the Lego movie, the new Hershey movie.
It's just doing it good. Like do it well. Do the thing that's going to be the best, not necessarily a format.
Well, the fashiontainment.
Yeah,
the
great word.
Isn't there? Didn't they hire a head of entertainment?
Yeah, that's what I said. That Chief Entertainment Officer joined.
CEO. They got a new CEO.
They got a new CEO. Good take. I just think that I watch the Gap. I go back and watch them. I don't know what else you can ask for. It's not an interruption to me. I'm seeking it out. When Sienna Spiro is singing the climb, they did the climb with the whole choir.
How's that go?
It's the climb.
Oh, you got the buzzer.
I got the buzzer.
No, I agree, Jack. They are crushing. Invisible Dynamics, come on the show.
I feel like we're lacking in the glaze counter department. I feel like that's something.
Is it lacking on our side or the counter issue?
You think we haven't been glazing enough, Ross? Ross is nodding his head saying we haven't been glazing enough. I can change that in a heartbeat.
Well, let's glaze right here with our next guest. Jack, tee us off with the telephone.
Okay, next one. Leanne Fremar is the Global Chief Brand Officer at JPMorganChase. She's back on Breaking Entering. The last time we talked to her was when they kicked off a new Sapphire Reserve global campaign with Hailey Bieber. And you've seen it. We've all seen it. Hailey's got the big credit card. They recently did another one with Dwayne Wade. They did some great stuff with Game of Thrones. What else am I missing here, Gino?
That's pretty much what we covered. I feel like that we're going to cover on this, but also just like the whole JPMorganChase of like what they do as an institution to me is so interesting. But really getting into how do you make that product feel like a luxury brand in a crowded space?
I'm very excited for people to listen. We pre-recorded this interview, by the way. Disclaimer, transparency.
Yeah. You got different clothes on. You should be able to tell.
But the way that they go about it, because Leanne has more of like a luxury branding background, and how they're able to bring that into how they communicate the Sapphire Reserve differentiation in a space that for so long has only been about points, 3 times travel, like things that are just, you just put them up next to each other. Yeah. But they're changing the perception. They're playing the long game, it feels like. But let's bring in Leanne Fremar. Leanne Fremar, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Welcome back. Welcome back to the show.
Recurring guests, Leanne. Last time we talked was when you're kicking off the latest campaign for Sapphire Reserve. For the people that maybe need a refresh, you've seen it around the world. The first one was with Hailey Bieber. I remember we talked about that when Hailey Bieber, she's carrying the purse. It's not a purse, it's a Sapphire Reserve card. So Leanne, how's the campaign been going?
It's been going great. It's been terrific. Sapphire has just been continuing to exceed our expectations and, like, more importantly, I think exceed customer expectations. And so, I couldn't be prouder of the work that we're doing across the work that we're doing with Hailey. We launched the next installment of that part of the campaign with Dwayne Wade, who I hinted to you guys, you'd see a Hall of Famer somewhere in the mix, and then he appeared. So that's been terrific. In that span of time, we also won Best Lounge Network from the Points Guy, which has been incredible. So if you two haven't visited a Sapphire Lounge at the LaGuardia or JFK or wherever you guys are flying through, you should do that. And maybe we'll do the next one of these from there. That could be really fun.
That would be the dream. We can
sip the Hailey Bieber Reservatini, which we launched with her in October. And it's been one of our most popular items at the Sapphire Lounges.
Before we get into the strategy, the tactics, and all that, I got to know what is in that teeny. What are some of the ingredients in there?
Yeah, it's gin or vodka, and then it has vermouth and a little hint of jalapeno, like a splash of jalapeno in there. So
a little infusion, if you will.
It's an infusion. Yeah. Jalagino. It was his nickname in high school.
That's what they did.
That's what they called him.
Yes, they did.
They did.
I feel a breaking and entering martini coming on here.
Oh.
If we were doing a breaking and entering martini, Leanne, when we go to the lounge for our next interview, I think we will have to do a little custom breaking and entering teeny on there.
That'd be Red Bull and vodka.
I think I'll pass it over to the mixologist. Maybe we'll do it a can. We'll toast can with the breaking and entering teeny.
Yeah, of course. It makes a lot of sense for Sapphire Reserve. Of course, you go from Hailey Bieber. What's the next iteration? Obviously, it's the breaking and entering teeny. So that would make a lot of sense from a strategy.
Well, let's talk about the strategy, because you went from Hailey Bieber, you got D Wade now. Has anything changed, or can you talk about why D Wade and some of the tactics that you've all chosen there?
Yeah. So, we keep, continuing to work with people who are making culture, moving culture, and who really authentically love, the things about life that Sapphire Reserve delivers on. Like those people that love to travel, those people that love to dine, love those incredible experiences, who just love the richness of going somewhere with friends, with loved ones, and doing something memorable and meaningful. And so Dwayne Wade was someone that actually we worked with on Sapphire many years ago. In 2020, we launched a campaign that Dwayne Wade and his wife, Gabrielle Union, made a small cameo in. And, then, the world obviously changed, very quickly thereafter with the pandemic. And so we didn't really get to see the partnership with Dwayne Wade go, all the way to Bright. And so it was a really fun opportunity to bring D Wade back and work with him. We worked with his stylist, Jason Bolden, who is incredible. We brought David Sims back for sort of the campaign photography. We worked with an amazing crew on set and did a bunch of social assets and a full 360 with D Wade, and and the partnership just continues to move forward. And so you guys will keep seeing new stuff from us across Sapphire as we push into the spring and summer. And we're hard at work over here. That is for sure.
So the pillars revolve around travel, dining, and just wonderful experiences.
Yes.
Did I hit those correctly?
You did.
I
enjoy those things.
Of course, the finer things. It is, Leanne, you kind of come from this background of building some more luxury style brands. And it feels like that's kind of the experience that's happening here with Sapphire Reserve and what's being built by the team. So, how do you create that feeling for something that maybe historically has felt not necessarily like a luxurious premium thing, being credit cards, credit rewards, financial institutions in general.
Yeah. And, I think we talked last time, the world of sort of the, credit cards has felt a little bit commoditized. It is very much, sort of an apples to apples comparison across the category. And so our aspiration was really to move Sapphire Reserve into a brand that was about luxury. And luxury is really about experience. And luxury is really about brand promise and making sure that, when you go to use your card, it works globally. You're getting great, redemption value, you're getting great incentives. When you're pulling up to a lounge at for Sapphire Reserve, you're getting in, you can bring 2 friends, you can sit down at the bar, you can have an incredible Reservatini or mocktail or whatever works. You can get that lounge experience, you can get a facial, you can, take a Zoom meeting, it's really about the details. And so it's not just about making something look luxury in the campaign, it's really leaning into understanding the entire customer journey and making sure that end to end, that customer is having an experience with this product that feels above and beyond anything that they could get anywhere else.
Yeah. So you're building like this new brand world for the card here, and it seems to be working really well. And I think that's so important for us to understand, because when I was looking for my first credit card or my second credit card, it's just, you see those websites where they put the columns and the different benefits that you can get. It's just could be so boring. But when I see what you're putting out there in the world, it speaks to me. And I think you guys are doing a really good job.
It feels like a big, it feels almost like a big bet, right? It doesn't seem like there's been that type of approach. It's always all the advertising and marketing around credit cards for so long, to your point, Leanne, has been commoditized, where it's all about the blank X multiplier for certain, I don't know, I just think that that's been ingrained. Is this like a conscious effort? Did it take some selling in within the organization to maybe think a little bit more long-term about how we build this brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have, the most powerful set of data and insights, on our customers and our customer behavior. We understand, where our audiences are spending, where they're spending their time. And, we knew in the data that customers were looking for an experience that really recognize them and incentivize them around the core pillars for this audience, which are all about travel and dining and chasing those incredible experiences. We knew that, airport lounges, were an important driver for this audience. And we knew that there was opportunity in the market to do it differently. And quite frankly, to do it much, much better than what we saw in the marketplace when we launched our first lounge a few years ago. And the reception that we have seen for both the customer and the press, as well as seeing, how the lounges have helped work as an acquisition engine, has been really gratifying and validating, because, our data told us that this is what our customer is looking for. We met and exceeded people's expectations.
Well, it is fascinating to me that something like the airport lounge is something that is bottom of funnel, like it's a conversion tactic. I don't think you would think about it like that. But the meeting people where that decision gets made, I imagine since it is such a driver of growth, you're making that decision at the airport almost sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like you just see it and knowing how to experience it. And then of course, once the breaking and entering teeny gets into the mix,
I'm going.
All bets are off.
Yeah. That's game time.
I like that. Gino, you had something.
I'm just curious in general now, just backing things up here. Like, what has changed in this space of marketing for cards that your team is all over, that you're focusing on?
I mean, a lot is changing right now across marketing. You guys are, you're seeing that yourselves. And so I think it's about everyday optimizations. We are, making sure that the product is delivering. We're making sure that the experience is there. We're making sure that the benefits hit. and that it really resonates with customers. And, where you see that, things are, not meeting customers' expectations, we're all over it. So channels like Reddit might not have had, sort of the volume that they have today. Like, we're looking at all of those platforms, TikTok, Reddit, X, Instagram, and making sure that we're seeing that feedback and thinking about how do we utilize that to iterate for a better product and customer experience. We're obviously looking at how all of our media and all of our creative and all of the messaging that we have across the entire ecosystem, not just in paid, but also in owned, in earned, and in shared, and how all of those, sort of gears are working with each other to kind of continuously give us that feedback loop. And then we're out in market. We're talking to customers. We're understanding what they want when they're in branches, when they're at events, obviously when they're in our airport lounges. And we're really using all of that data to continuously iterate and make sure that both the product and the experience continue to improve.
Do you want to, because
What?
want to do a little side? I've been doing these side.
Sometimes we'll just have Leanne, excuse us for a second. We're going to do a timeout.
So it seems like Leanne, we want to welcome her back every 6 months.
Right.
And
so what can we?
What I want you to try and do is guess the next person in the campaign. So we know Hailey Bieber, and we had Dwayne Wade. And we know the pillars now. Someone that likes to travel, loves dining, loves the finer things in life.
And relevant, someone that actually is relevant, like culturally relevant.
So,
okay,
well, that's an early drum roll.
That's an early drum roll. It's a little bit of a preemptive drum roll, but
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's a crazy drum
all right, we're
roll.
back. Timeout's over. Leanne.
Yes.
I am going to try and guess who is there. I don't know if you can say or not. Maybe don't even answer that. The next person will be.
Oh, I got one.
No, wait. Do you have one? Okay, if you have one, go.
Kylie Jenner.
Oh!
I think we'll come back in 6 months, Leanne. You don't have to react. You don't have to say anything. We'll just come back in 6 months and see if that was right or wrong.
Come back in 6 months and celebrate Gino's correct guess. I like it. How about this one? Here, drum roll me. Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, bump it.
My issue is I get worried. I was worried that I don't know about competitors.
Yeah. Well,
guys, just so Michael B. Jordan was, in the Sapphire family. He and we worked together with Michael B. Jordan a few years back. He did some beautiful creative with us. And we loved working with him.
Nice.
But all you would have to do is a quick search on any one of your tools to know that. So yes, but also no.
Oh man,
Leanne, come on, cut me some slack. There's a lot.
Oh, you got that. You understood the brand really well, though.
Yeah, can you at least give me that, Leanne?
Yeah, you got it. You got
okay.
A+ for at least understanding the brand.
Yeah, the bravery to at least give some guesses.
I appreciate that you put yourself out there, Jack. It's good.
Leanne, I hope that doesn't jeopardize our 6-month plan.
No way. Like I said, you know what? I keep a low profile. I tend not to do these things, but I think what you two are doing and what you've been doing is just brilliant. I love it. It's so entertaining. It's so informative, and so I'm happy to be a repeat guest.
Thank you so much, Leanne. It means the world to us. We learn a lot from you, and we're excited to see it work. I pass by that work every single day.
Yeah.
So it made me think about you. So
it's great. Yeah, congrats. And we didn't even mention it, but the Game of Thrones, people need to check out what's going on there.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that. I was watching Knights of the Seven Kingdom, and that just made so much sense to see that you guys sponsored the lead up for it, about the making of the intro of the original Game of Thrones, with the production company highlighting the small businesses that made that intro. It all made sense to me, and it was a beautiful, tactic or execution within your campaign that you guys were running.
Thank you. Yeah, and I want to give a huge shout out to the media team here at JPMC, as well as our partner Dentsu, as well as obviously our collaborators with Warner Discovery. It was a really incredible partnership. And I think that, again, when you really think about sort of how the credit card business, and drawing these, sort of connective conversations to culture, one of the incredible things about Game of Thrones is, one, we know that, everybody's watching it. And so there's obviously a lot of eyeballs there, but also there is an incredible army of small businesses that surround Game of Thrones to really make Game of Thrones and that franchise what it is. And so we love this idea of being able to entertain our small business audiences when they're watching, a show or a franchise like that, by sort of just telling back to them, the incredible stories of what, these small businesses do to make, a production like that. And I think in the age of, tools and technology and AI, and a lot of what we're seeing sort of emerge in terms of what the capabilities of these tools can do, highlighting the craftsmanship, the makers, and the small businesses that have been doing this kind of this art and science work for so long was just a story we needed to tell.
I was enthralled by it. I was so happy to watch that ad.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it feels like a very unique. It felt very unique, a really creative way, and it makes a lot of sense too. And you don't think about it like in these productions.
So good.
So good. Leanne, thanks a lot. Those are just a quick glaze over there, but seriously, people should check it out. It's a cool look in behind the scenes. And we'll see you in 6 months.
I'll see you in the South of France, guys.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Leanne.
Bye.
I'm higher in break entering media's history here. She's fantastic. She has the second highest performing post on social media because she knows her algorithm. She knows what's sticking in culture. She brings it up to us because we don't see it, and she's doing a great job at the
Ellie,
company.
how old are you?
I'm 23.
23 years old.
Nice.
Yes.
Born in 2008. Very cool.
Grew up in Boston.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. Let's go. What do we got? Enlighten us, Ellie. Let's go in.
We're in the ballets.
What do you say? Yeah, you can say it. You can say it. It's okay.
Oh,
You can tell everyone.
he said, he wants to protect film in the sense that, like, it's not a dying art. He lives for film. And then he went on to say that he wouldn't want to work in an art like the ballet or like in opera because it's not worth saving, basically, is the sentiment.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
not great. I mean, he's young. He's what? 20.
He's 20. It's something like 28, maybe.
But I mean, it's not great. It's not. A
No,
great
not
comment.
at all. Of course not. Okay, so what happens next? Where's the response come in now? Now,
Yeah.
I mean, brands obviously they see all this.
Yeah, it's a huge conversation online.
course.
People are really upset. People are like really actually calling him out, and some people are even saying this might have potentially impacted his run at winning, best actor, best picture. Which I don't know the logistics on that. But anyway, what I want to talk about is how brands responded to this. And I think we see it in a couple really smart and kind of subtle and then also not so subtle ways. And so first, most importantly, we have the Seattle Opera. They almost immediately come out with this Instagram post and they say use promo code Timothy for 14% off select seats, which I think is it's really bold.
Now he's
it's really
facing
making
new
a
criticism
statement.
over his take on the arts during a town hall discussion with Matthew McConaughey.
like, sorry, I pissed
I admire
off the
people, and I've done
opera
it
and the
myself
ballet
too. When I
people,
talk to them
just
about, hey, we got to
lost
keep movie
14
theaters
cents
alive.
of
You know,
viewership,
we got to
meaning,
keep
like,
this genre alive.
there's
And
no
another
one
part
that
of me
cares.
feels like
Oh,
if people want
wow.
to see it, like Barbie,
Oh,
like
yeah,
Oppenheimer, they're going to go see it and go out of their way
Yeah,
to
Ross
be loud
just,
and proud
Josh
about
just,
it.
you can't hear him, but
And I don't want to be
he's gonna
working
play
in
it. He's gonna play
ballet
it.
or opera or, you know, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though it's like no one cares about this anymore. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 14 cents in viewership, but damn, I just.
Yeah,
So
tough
there's
one,
the context.
tough one.
Tough one. But the Seattle Opera makes this post, and they posted it about a week ago.
Oscar nominee to
And as of right now, it has almost 130,000 likes. Just had a total moment online. It's like sort of a not ignorable brand moment. So that was really smart. And then from there, we see Reformation, who very consistently is very on the nose and very like in the cultural conversation when it comes to their marketing, especially their email marketing. So they send out an email blast to everyone that's ever bought anything at Reformation. And it just says some things to wear to the ballet or opera, and then just places people really care about. And this is
great.
is a more subtle way of tapping into the conversation, but it's really smart. People online were loving it. Influencers were making videos reacting to it because it showed up in all of our inboxes. Nice. People were really happy. People thought
email newsletters, not dead yet.
I know. When's the last time you talked
yet.
about an email newsletter? But Reformation consistently, whenever something's happening, you're getting notifications from them in your emails. They're good.
I might be on that email list just for saying the word Reformation at one point. So
the Pete Davidson campaign,
Yes.
like they're so good. They're like the blueprint in my mind.
So you got the Seattle Opera steps in, great social post. You got Reformation, a brand that isn't necessarily as tied to opera as the Seattle Opera
But
is.
found a good connection there, like
Of course.
here's what you wear. I like that.
Yeah, they didn't force it. They did it in a good way. They did
not
it subtly. They didn't over-explain either,
Right.
which I feel like we
Yeah.
all can appreciate.
Yeah, they
Like
said
it-
nothing else. That was
Yes, exactly. So what's next? I think is this to round out the trio. This is the grand
to round it
finale.
out. So this was a partnership that happened at the Oscars, and we have Merit Beauty partnering with Misty Copeland, the face of the ballet. She's like the it girl. She is that girl. She is like the world's most famous ballerina. And she, in 2023, I believe, retired from the ballet completely, and last year had a hip replacement. And in a surprise kind of jaw-dropping moment, she returned from her retirement at the Oscars. And she performed with the Oscar-nominated ensemble from Sinners, performed with like the whole cast and everything. So she like kind of had this like gagging moment where she like came out on the stage, had this like show-stopping moment. It was awesome. And then as that's all happening, Merit Beauty is online posting. They did all three of her glam looks of the night. So they did her red carpet look, they did her performance look, and they did her after party look. And so they're posting her pictures, that they've done, her beauty, her look. And the caption just reads, "Big ballet fans." And so it's another sort of subtle, but also like, we're doing this in support of the arts. We're doing this in support of Misty. We're doing this in support of, this cultural conversation. But in another sort of subtle way, like Reformation, where they're tapping into the conversation without being too overly.
Nicely done.
So
Good spot, Ellie.
three things here. Three things. The Merit Beauty one is, so they, obviously a major move for Merit Beauty to kind of be the glam sponsor essentially for Misty.
All three looks too.
All three looks.
That is not common.
You know what's crazy about all of this is I imagine that run of show has been established for so long, and the fact that like the timing of it is just something you can't make up.
No, you can't. And the Timothy Chalamet comments came out, I think, 2 weeks before the Oscars. Like that team, when that happened, must have been like, we have the biggest stage in entertainment coming up in 2 weeks. Like, how can we make a statement? And to be able to pull it off like that is really impressive.
Yeah, if you're Merit Beauty, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I feel like they would have already established that they would be doing the glam for Misty much more in advance. If you're Merit Beauty, it's all about, we've seen some fumbles recently where a brand might go viral and then they don't really know how to capture that attention and make it worth it. Feels like now that we know, just the fact that people know that Merit Beauty was the ones that did the glam feels like a big time moment that they were able to capture, that they probably were giddy about going into it, because they're like, oh my God, we know, like, this is going to be it. How do we make the most of it? So, wow.
These are great, like, indirect responses here. I'm curious to see, or I might have to do some research on my own of, like, did the actual ballet, the premier ballet organization, whatever that might be, or the actual premier opera houses, besides the Sydney one, I think, is that the one you mentioned? Seattle. Did they make official statements? Did they do any sort of brand campaigns from them? I want to look into it.
Because it is kind of if you're the ballet, don't you think it's a little bit, the brand is a little bit higher brow. The ballet is a bit more luxurious, prestigious. Is a ballet, does it make sense for them to get into, like,
maybe not
something like this?
I mean, I would like to be a part of that community. Like, that's
right.
that's I feel like that's like the high class, like the best.
Of course, but that's my question for this.
So
if Chalamet goes at you, you're above that almost.
Right.
Like,
almost,
I could see that conversation.
Absolutely.
But if you're a brand that, like, Reformation, people would, it's not crazy that, like, Reformation did this. It's amazing. They nailed it, obviously.
I am curious if they'll come back and say, I honestly am not sure if they've made any sort of statement, but it's kind of sick to be in the position to, like, have culture speak for you. Like, they at this point, they don't even need to make a statement, because people online have gone so far in defense of the ballet and the opera that, like, it's almost taken care of.
Right.
Yeah, like, for me, the ballet now I think of in higher regard than I maybe did previously. I think I'm paying attention to it more because of the way that it's almost like the public has rallied around it. And maybe, I don't know if ballet and culture, it's almost like people didn't even realize themselves how much they appreciate it and how much respect that they had for it. And then something like this happens, which brings attention to it. It's obviously negative at first, but the way that the public rallies around it almost reminds me a little bit of, like, the NPR situation, where you've activated a group of people that didn't necessarily feel the need to speak out about a subject, but cared deeply about, and then they were finally given a reason to discuss it.
Sure. Yeah. I know. I'm curious how Timothée Chalamet will pivot.
Do you think will he do anything?
I mean, they just released Dune 3, or they announced it. So
did you see Robert Pattinson's look in it? Is that
he looks really scary.
He looks crazy.
You kind of look like Robert Pattinson.
You look like Frankenstein.
Terrible. Well, that was great.
Thanks.
Amazing. The girls' room with Ellie. Well done.
Thank you.
Ellie, enlightening us.
Thank you.
One segment at a time. Okay, now you're gonna have to try to get out of here. Now, and we're back to the main screen. Sound effects are humming. Those definitely work, which is good. And that was Ellie McCarron, producer for Breaking and Entering, and also correspondent on the show. Gino, what a show we had. What a show we had. Anything from you? Let's wrap things up for the people so they can get to lunch maybe. If you're on the West Coast, maybe you get the breakfast, maybe get that Erewhon smoothie.
No, I think we had a great episode here, Jack. No notes from me. Any content updates from the studio here?
Anything happened last night? Nothing. I didn't think so. Yeah. I didn't think so. That's like a Tuesday conversation that you get more content from this crew. But great guest list. We had Todd Kaplan, the CMO of North America Kraft Heinz, talking about their NFL partnership. We had Katie Deighton. She's a Wall Street Journal reporter covering the CMO Today beat. And then we had Leanne Fremar, Chief Brand Officer of JPMorganChase, talking about luxurizing the brand.
And of course, the girls' room with Ellie McCarron. So here's what's going to happen. If you missed anything, you're just joining in now, don't worry, you didn't miss it. We're going to post this on our Spotify and our YouTube and where else?
Apple.
On Apple too, if you want to just listen to it. We do that every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Follow, subscribe, so you never miss a beat on the B&E Show.
Thank you all for joining. We will see you tomorrow. Good show.